Welcome everybody to episode 48 of the Rugby League Coach podcast. Of course, I've already said that intro because we've already had episode 48, but unfortunately, well, the Rugby League Coach himself had a few little issues with a few things, and the episode was all but scrapped, Lee.
Well, I'm a rugby league coach, aren't I? You can't expect me to get the microphone thing right all the time. But there was a few Wi-Fi issues too, so all complaints to Optus, please.
Can we just, before we continue, can we get a check? Is there any way we can confirm that this one is going to be, because I reckon we're going to have some really good content today. So let's make sure that, have we got a check?
Well,
make sure it's all working.
If I do this, do I sound different now?
Yeah, very different.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what one of the problems was last week.
Okay.
All right. So
no worries. Well, I'll keep an ear out for you. Okay.
I basically didn't have it in.
I'm going to go underneath me and welcome Sergeant Slaughter himself, the Cheese. Welcome, Cheese, episode 48.
How's things, guys?
Great, thanks, mate. And we hope you are well down there, of course, in the Redlands. What's the team you coach? The Redlands?
The Parrots.
The Parrots, yes. I've actually got a couple of nephews that run around for the Parrots, so I should have remembered that one. And then, of course, Rosie. Rosie's joining us again, who's just sitting underneath Lee there for my little view. Welcome, Rosie. How's things down New South Wales way?
Yeah, not too bad. It's actually been a bit warmer this week, so it's been good.
It's been 4 degrees.
Warmer with victory, I'm sure, for you and your Queensland Maroons. Before we continue, I'd like to thank Special Ops Socials for sponsoring the Rugby League Coach podcast. It's great to have Special Ops Socials on board and supporting the team. Now, Lee, let's jump straight into some questions. I have brought this question forward. It's around coaching. I'm going to be a little bit critical of Brad Fittler here, and I'm going to ask for your opinion. Nico Hines, 70 minutes on the bench. What's doing? What are your thoughts?
He should have stayed in Cronulla. To have a player of that X factor, of that talent, and not use him in a game where your attack was clearly not functioning properly, to not use a game breaker, and you and I were tweeting ourselves senseless during the game, so this is not us, or not me being wise after the fact. Yo was guilty of throwing some passes to the floor and this, that, and the other. This obsession some middle forwards have now with being, I think, average ball players. They're just people who throw long passes. Mm. They're not playing close to the line or anything intricate. They're just turning and throwing long passes rather than running the football a lot. That is getting old hat now. They needed something else on the field, and Hines would have brought that something else. And to just have him getting splinters in his arse for 70 minutes, Brad Fittler must have had some kind of mental blockage, because I don't understand why he picked him. I really don't. And blind Freddie, excuse the pun, could see that New South Wales had an awful lot of possession, awful lot of field position, but they weren't unlocking the Queensland defence. And you either have to change your tactics or you change your players carrying out those tactics to bring more spark. And he did neither.
Yes. Brendan, Cheese, feel free to come in on this one. But when was the ideal time? When should Nico have been injected?
I would have gone the second half of the first half and the second half to the 25 minutes to go mark of the second half.
Direct replacement for Coruscant?
Not necessarily. I think that I would have liked to have seen him at lock, and I've mentioned this before. Put Yo into the prop rotation.
I would have brought him
into the lock.
If you weren't going to bring him in the first half, I would have brought him in as soon as Fafita went off the field.
Why?
Bring him in at lock, push Yo forward. Even have Murray up front, just have a real mobile pack, play upbeat footy, because they had two props playing second row. There was a perfect opportunity to bring him on. Then leaving Coruscant on, I would have brought off one of the props and gone with him at lock.
The worrying thing for the Blues is that template of that game last night, where they have 20, 25 minutes of the game where you think, they've got to score soon. that template has been the template for about 6 of the last 9 games, something like that, where they've had shed loads of possession but not turned it into points. I do remember an Origin last year where they only scored off kicks or something like that. Or was that the year before? 2 of the tries last night were really stuffy. They didn't create anything. And I think their tactics are too easy to read. I think they pick the wrong play the ball to move sideways. They don't move the defence around properly. Their middle area of the field, which is often known as yardage, they don't manipulate the defence enough there. And I think it's too easy for Queensland to slide. So Queensland get a lot of raps for their slide defence, but I don't think they're actually under that much pressure. One of the things about a slide defence that you've got to do is you've got to have things happening to arrest the slide, to keep the slide in check so that it doesn't slide. Things coming back on the inside balls at the right time, this kind of thing. And I just did not see enough variety. It was, you could see things coming quite clearly. I'm loath to blame Nathan Cleary too much, because I dare say he was carrying out instructions. Because that template, I've seen it, like I say, about 6 times in the last 9 games, something like that.
But you say that he's carrying out instructions, but if Jonathan Thurston or Andrew Johns were given instructions and then they were playing for 20, 25 minutes, nothing was working, do you think that they keep going back to that same well, or do they go, we've got to change this up, we're going to make a decision and we're going to change it on the run?
You've got to. I don't think it's an apple circumstance. JT and Cleary, very different players. Cleary and Joey not too dissimilar in some aspects, and I don't think a coach would have structured JT or Joey so much anyway, or as much.
Error-wise, do you think just the era they played in, they wouldn't have structured them as much? If they were in the modern game, would there be a little bit more structure in their play, or is it just...
Well, Joey even criticised the way that things were going. And he was dumbfounded on why certain things were going certain ways and that. They tried Freddie, the way Freddie was asked them to play, and then they just fall straight back into that Penrith formation that they know so well. But when you're playing against the top of the top players, they see that and they cover it straight away because they've all played against it for so long now. That Penrith Panthers structure is everyone knows exactly where it's going to go and all of that sort of stuff. But having the quality of players on the team for Queensland, that I think they just saw it and went, oh, okay, yep, and shut it down. A couple of times, Cobbo came in to shut Cleary down or Luai down, and they got the ball past him.
I also think Cameron Munster is a lot more unpredictable at 6 than Jerome Luai is at 6.
Yep, definitely.
If Jerome Luai produces something, it tends to be like the ball he gave to Liam Martin last night, which, by the way, looked a bit forward. But Cameron Munster is more likely to throw a dummy and go through, or chip and chase over the top of the defensive line, or...
You can tell because you get nervous when he gets the ball in his hand.
That's right. And at the times when he just pops up in the right place and looks really casual is when you need to start worrying about Cameron Munster. So I actually put more of the lack of creativity blame, if you like, on Luai as well, because he has this tendency to run a sort of, I won't call it a C line because that's a different terminology in rugby league, but the way he runs is actually like the letter C because he sort of runs in a circle. He runs one way and then realises he can't get round, so he tries back the other. He runs a lot of his players out sometimes. I think that for all the stepping that he does into the defensive line and this, that and the other, I'm not saying he's a bad footballer. What I'm saying is that Queensland know how to deal with it. And the whole idea of any strategy of any sport, be it boxing, be it soccer, be it football, as in league, once you think your opponent's worked something out, you've got to go to your plan B and your plan C. You know, the cricket's on in the background now. England are playing Ireland in a test match, right, as we record this. There's been so many batsmen in cricket who've had a great first season because nobody knew exactly where their weaknesses were and whatnot. But they've had a great first season in Test cricket. And then on the next round of tours, the bowlers have worked out where their weaknesses, and then they keep targeting their weaknesses. The good batsmen, they eradicate that weakness and deal with it and kick on.
Yeah.
The poor batsman can't find another way. I'm saying that somebody like Luai now needs to try and find another way because I think the Queensland defence has worked him out quite significantly because there's little subtle things you can pick up as a coach that, players do this as well, but you can pick things up when you're watching the tape and you know players are going to do a certain thing. And I remember studying one half before a big final once, big grand final, and we realised that it was Blacktown. Before we played Blacktown, we realised that the halfback stood close to the ruck if he was going to run it. And stood wide of the ruck if he was going to pass it. Now, there's no way that half knew he was doing that either. But we picked it up. I believe Matthew Johns told a lot of people once that you knew Joey was going to run the ball because he'd kick his toes into the ground.
Yeah.
Right? So there's all these subtle hints in games that players give off all the time. Another story I always tell is about Brett Camorley knowing where Barry McDermott, the great British prop, where his glass eye was in his eyes. He had one real eye and one glass eye. And quite often Noddy would step into the side where his glass eye was in the hope that Barry couldn't make the tackle. So there's all these little things. And I just guess that Queensland have worked out Jerome Luai a little bit. Nathan Cleary, I thought he was controlling what he had to control. No problem.
It's funny you say that, Leo. I specifically remember being coached by you. And just, it's when I probably first started hearing the term asking questions of the defense.
Yeah.
It's probably, if I look back it's probably the first time when I heard that phrase, asking questions, because I specifically remember probably your first year coaching me, we had quite a smaller side, your second year at St. Greg's, and we'd attack one side and we'd ask a question and we'd see how they react. Oh, well, they reacted well to that. Then we'd ask another question. They didn't react as well. Oh, okay, right. So they got an issue there. And I feel like New South Wales last night asked a question, got an answer, and then asked the same question, and then got an answer, and then they asked the same question. And I think if you
thought they'd get a different answer.
That's right. And if you look at it in that terms, it's quite silly. And then when you have a different answer on the bench ready to go and just go, oh, well, hang on, if we ask it again, maybe it'll change.
There was another crucial period of the game too, boys. The whole media speak before the game, which, it will have come from the camps. I don't subscribe to this theory that the media just make things up all the time, right? We're going to bash Queensland because they bashed us last year. Right? What a brain dead sort of Neanderthal approach to a sport that is a bit more sophisticated than that now, right? Because they were that focused on trying to rough them up. And on your podcast, Taylor, we talked about some of the grubby acts that were going on. They were that obsessed with trying to rough them up. Queensland got the football jump on them. The game was actually lost in the first 20 minutes when Queensland went 10-0 up. That was the difference right there. Take that away, everything was equal, and they got that bit all wrong. And again, I'm not being wise after the event. I think they focused too much on this Neanderthal base theory. Oh, we're going to bash Queensland. Anybody who knows anything about football knows that if there's one state that's tough and one state that's a bit more silvertail, it's Queensland are the tough state and New South Wales are the silvertail state, right? That's not saying New South Wales aren't tough. I'm just, using certain terms. And the other thing I also said, which I'd love to come up as a discussion point, I don't think Tommy Turbo should have played in that game.
No.
The difference between him and Crichton last night in the two centres was like chalk and cheese. The way Crichton was powering into that line, he was fit, he was sharp, he was making good meters, he looked dangerous, he took some stopping. Turbo didn't, because he's not right. He's not right. Do you agree with me, Rosie?
Yeah. I agree. That 10-minute period was at the start and at the end were really, really important. And the fact that they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and they keep getting the same result. It's pretty much the definition of insanity. But something like someone, I can't remember who they were interviewing, but they asked the question it was great that Cotter and I think someone else went into the second row, and they said all week Billy had been training us. He would purposely pull us out, put someone here, pull someone out, put someone there, and keep changing up and keep changing that scenario-based training within there. And I think that, and then that's something that leads back to the Cowboys said last year, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I think Fittler has a game plan, and he's got and to a degree, I think Penrith have always got their game plan, because they've never really had to ever be, because they're that dominant in club football. And I just don't think, whether it's Luai, whether it's Cleary, whether it's Coruscant, whether it's Yeo, their ability to adapt on the run isn't there, where Queensland through their club football, but then also through the way that Billy Slater would have changed things up at training. I think you learn how to be adaptive, and you learn, and I hate the thing of eyes up footy, and I think you get that in your head, and you can get them in that frame of mind going into the game, where New South Wales had a game plan and they were going to stick to it. Their game plan was the first 20 minutes, let's beat the crap out of them, because we didn't like what happened 12 months ago. Then we're going to go to the left all day to Crichton, because 80% of the ball went out that way. Then when the ball went to the right, Frizzell stopped it most times. And and then even I think there was some comments on NRL on Fox Sports after the game where they're just saying that they just got caught up in that little thing. And even Ben Hunt, that tackle just before halftime, Ben Hunt knew what they were doing before. He knew what Cleary was doing before Cleary even did.
Yeah. One problem going to your left all the time is that you're probably going to the right shoulder of the opponent all the time. And bear in mind, 80+% of the world is right-handed and therefore right-sided. It's actually manna from heaven for a lot of teams. And you've really got to have strike on that side. If you're going to break through, you've got to have real strike. Therefore, Latrell not being there is probably a bit of an issue. I would have liked to have seen Latrell there to see if that made any difference, but also Crichton in the right centre if possible instead of Turbo. I just don't think Tommy Turbo's fit. The other one where I think they got it hideously wrong was on the left edge with Liam Martin. He should have started, because he came off the bench like a man possessed. He had a bee in his bonnet.
And he played the game out. It's not a fitness thing. Yeah. It's not a fitness thing. It's not a fitness thing.
No, Young only played that first bit, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But Young was there to be Young was there to be Young. He was there to try and intimidate them, and that's what he tried to do against Gilbert, and Gilbert just laughed in his face. He tried to unsettle Daly Cherry Evans. Who's going to unsettle him?
Yeah.
It's and to give two rookies on debut the job of trying to unsettle it's just, they've never been there. They're brighter lights than they've ever been under before. Now
it's like saying you want to bash a boxer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe, but you might want to actually outbox them as well.
One of the things that I noticed a lot was that a lot of the time when Crichton got the ball, he didn't offload. And there was so many times where To'o had no one on him, and Crichton went to ground with the ball. Now, Crichton's got an unbelievable offload, and he has proven that time and time again. But he didn't offload enough to To'o. To'o tore that left side, the right side of Queensland apart.
If I was coaching New South Wales for the next game, I know they said the second test, the next game, I would actually put some emphasis on them attacking more in the yardage area, in the middle chunk of the field.
Yep.
When I say the yardage area and the middle chunk of the field, I don't mean looking at it vertically. I mean looking at it as you do on the TV. So from, say, the 40-metre line to the 40-metre line. Because by getting all the way up the field, it's almost like Queensland. You just know that Queensland are going to defend like their life depends on it on the goal line. So if you ask more questions more of the time, you're more like, there's that saying again, mate, you're more than likely to get the answers that you want. So I would put a bit more emphasis on playing out of yardage, maybe even on the tip of exit, because they've got to try something different, because I think Queensland haven't picked. I really do. If they're not careful, the Origin game at Suncorp could really be a bad thing for Queensland, for New South Wales, because it could go either way, because Origin is Origin. But living up here, Taylor, we know how the locals will get behind it. Like, it will be a cauldron. It will be a cauldron. It'll
be huge. And I think you're onto something, Lee. The largest win we've had against Queensland, apologies, in the last couple of years, a lot of those highlights were Tedesco, Cleary making breaks from 40, 50, 60 out and then getting supported by Tedesco or, you know what I mean? Yeah. When they turned it on from the right end of the field. And so I think you're onto something there. There's certainly something.
The reason I do that is there's two areas of the field where defences normally lift.
Yeah.
It's on your own goal line, but it's also in the opponent's 20 metres, because you want to jam them there.
Yep.
In that middle chunk of the field is where some defenders have a little tiny snooze and get a bit of a breather. And they're not quite in fight or flight mode as much there.
Yeah, I
think that is what I think they need to bring to the table.
For me, when I played, I think you felt when I was D'ing against I guess I mentally saw the try lines and the outlines as walls, just mentally in my head. So when I was defending and I was like pushing and trying to jam them, I just felt the space was really small, because you were nice and jammed and compact, and it was you're pushing them up against a wall. You were the bully situation, and then when you're in the other try line, your back's against the wall, and you jam in tight, especially on the line. Then you're fanning out together. But in the middle of the park, I always felt like there was just a lot of space around me.
Yeah,
I felt like if I was at A, B was 10 meters away.
What I will say, Taylor Llewellyn, is that I think also the opposition try line was like a wall to you, because I never really saw you go over it.
Yeah. See, I just don't know if that's called for. I don't know if I needed that.
My podcast.
I scored plenty of tries. If I remember scoring a 70-meter try for you, and might have been against a team that was, really bins with bricks in it. Yeah. But I still remember scoring a 70-meter try. So give me a break.
Here's one for you. If you're going to go through the middle and you're going to attack between the two 40s, you're going to have a smart hooker that's fresh.
I didn't say attack through the middle, Brendan. Please listen in class.
No.
Please listen in class.
Yeah, but it's got to come from somewhere. So
no. Stop. I didn't say anything about tackling through the middle of the ruck.
Well,
that is another tactic that Queensland are ready for too, because that's another one that Freddie didn't change quickly enough last year. I'm talking about playing +1, +2, but playing some football when the defence is a bit more compressed, shifting to get them doing passive tackles and then playing. I'm talking about moving the defence around laterally. I'm talking about the old eyes up thing, coming out off your own 40.
Cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
I still Queensland targeted Coruscant. Coruscant was tired at the back of each half.
Are we talking about Queensland attacking now? I don't know if I'm Martha or Martha here.
No.
You're Martha.
Thank you. You're not listening. So he's not making as good of decisions from dummy half in where the ball's going, because Queensland attacked him, and when they had the ball, they ran at him. He was the highest tackler for New South Wales.
Well, that tactic has been around for 100 years, and also hookers know that they're going to cop that. James Roby in the English Super League often clocks up 70+ tackles.
Yeah, but James Roby's never played Origin.
No,
and he's never played a game of football the quality of Origin.
No, but it's still. What my point is that. All right, Cameron Smith has made that many tackles in Origin.
Yeah, but
hookers know that's what they get in Rosie.
Yeah, but Penrith even knew he couldn't play 80 minutes in finals football.
So what's your point? They
if they're going to play Coruscant or Cook, they've got to either put Murray or someone in for that first 20 minutes and he plays the last 60.
So you're saying put a bit more defensive.
Yeah, so he only has to play 60 minutes of football rather than 80 minutes of football. And I think that their attack looks a lot more dynamic with a fresh Happy Coruscant.
I don't disagree with that at all, actually. Yeah.
Or Cook. I don't care if it's Cook or Happy Coruscant. Cook, if you're going to pick Cook, you got to go through the middle.
Happy Coruscant's the kind of hook you need to bring on when the game's broken down. Can you imagine last night, after all that possession, all of a sudden them plonking in a fresh Happy Coruscant and a fresh Nico Hines. 1 at 9 and 1 at lock.
Yep.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
Took you 45 minutes to get there, Rosie, but yeah, well done.
Yeah, because I kept getting interrupted by this English bloke.
On the English Bloke podcast, thank you very much. My pod, my rules.
Who's going to lose his earn in about
No
8
chance,
weeks.
mate. Hey, I'm there for the 5th test.
What to watch Australia lift it.
To watch England just swing the bat and knock it all over the show, yeah. While your pie chuckers are throwing the little cherry down.
I've just noticed that we've got all sorts of beards on this. You know, I've obviously had a fresh shave. Lee's at sort of that little smaller length, and then Rosie and the cheese are just out of control.
Do you mind not
At least-
mind not referring to anything of mine as a smaller length? Thank you.
Sorry.
I think the truth of the matter is that Taylor Brown can't grow a beard.
Here you go,
I
Taylor.
can grow a beard. It's just patchy.
The Milky Bar Kid is tough and strong.
And,
Now the other thing,
and you know what? The cheese is yours is well groomed. The cheese, I really like that. It's well groomed. You seem like you put it together. Rosie, you look like you've just rolled out of Sydney CBD asking for a soup at one of the vans,
yes,
and someone's given you a camera, and you've said, "Oh, I'm going to talk about Origin for a bit."
yeah.
I actually
and then you're going to walk off after this to the cameraman and say, "Have you got that $10 now?"
And his empties are in the background.
Yeah, all the empties there. Puff up the goon bag for a pillow.
Hey, can't beat them.
Cheese, Brendan. Any more topics for Leroy?
One for me, with coaching a team with limited numbers, so you've got 13 players, that's it. How do you try and get the best out of them for the most amount of time?
Do you mean in a game?
In a game, yeah.
I think it's really simple. You've got no other option. And if the players have the right sort of kahunas, they step up.
Oh,
Some of my best team performances as a coach have come when we've had 11 men, 12 men, 13 men. Because you just know you've not got an out.
Yeah.
In terms of playing the game, I think you need to put a little bit more emphasis on the backs coming in to cover for the forwards on exit.
Yep.
And you've also got to put a little bit of emphasis on kicking the ball into touch so you can walk to the scrum and things like that, just to slow it down when you need to. But the reality is, if you go in short and the opposition know it as well, you've sort of got nothing to lose in a way as well. And you'd be amazed how that lifts. So I think in answer to your question, number one, tell the players there's no hiding place. They have to keep going because otherwise you're going to let your mates down. Number two, share the workload for the tough stuff. And number three, do smart things during the game. Kick the ball, let it bounce into touch, walk to scrum. Anything like that, you know. If you need to, go down for a couple of injuries, stop the game for a bit, just anything like that, just to, you know, just slow it down when you need to, because there will be times when it'll be tough, especially if it's a good team that you're playing against. So,
yeah, no worries.
Perfect tempo, very important.
Always everything. I love talking about the temperature of the game. So you should know when to stick or twist, kind of thing. You know, sometimes you just got to sit in the game. Sometimes you just got to sit in the game and know that pressure will make the diamonds in the end. Because that's another way New South Wales could have attacked it last night, you know. They could have just kept putting the ball in for repeat sets. If their attack wasn't paying dividends in terms of points, they should have just dinked the ball in, let's get a repeat set. Because eventually Queensland would have cracked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody would have just missed an assignment defensively and they would have got through and scored a try. Instead, they tried to play the money ball a lot. Or, you know, they'll focus on the fact that the Tyson Frizzell try should have maybe been a try, but...
Or the Epic Coruscant one.
Yeah, now, but if
that
they'd
was
have won
backwards,
that...
team.
If they'd have won that game last night by 2, they still would have had these same problems in attack that we're talking about now.
Yeah.
But they'd have been overlooked. And that's what you've got to do as a coach all the time. You know, what if, when you win. When you lose, you sort of got to throw out what if and say, look, we need to improve this. So.
Very good. All right. Well, do we have any more topics, or should we move on?
I just got one. If Fittler doesn't coach him, who does?
You know what? I'd like to see Craig Bellamy get back into that coaching chair, but he's still got another year at the Storm, so that won't happen. That would be my ultimate wish list. My thing with Craig Bellamy is he's just such a rigid, tough coach. I don't know how that would
What about how we've recorded the Taylor Brown Around the Town podcast, and now he's like taking my questions off me?
I'm not taking it off you. I'm contributing.
Who are you? Sean Wayne?
I'm contributing.
Shane Warne. Des Hasler's not coaching.
I'd like to see Desi. I think would pick it.
He wouldn't be a bad fit for Origin, actually.
Mm.
What about Flano? He can't get done for salary cap.
If a club won't touch him, I can't see a governing body touching him.
Yeah.
I just wondered. It's all well and good to say he shouldn't coach him again, but you got to have a replacement.
Well, some person that's been in Origin camp for a long time that's been involved is Mary McGregor. I don't think he should.
Don't give him the job. Oh.
I didn't give him the job, Lee. I'm just talking about who's in and around.
Hook needs a job. Give him a job.
What about if
Here we go. Turn it up.
Mind you, he's a Queenslander.
How would you go with the Johns brothers coaching him?
What's their coaching experience?
They don't talk to each other anymore, do they?
Oh, yeah. let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Tim's actually not far off the mark because both current Origin coaches are Channel 9 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Slater had no coaching experience and got the job for Queensland. Now he's a genius. Now he's a genius, apparently. So yeah, the next coach will probably be Danica Mason,
or even the Walker brothers.
Nah, they've got to be on Channel 9, mate. They've got to be on Channel 9, mate.
So Rosie just asked, "Who do you think?" And they're left field.
Well, they're Queenslanders.
They're Queenslanders. Don't you look in the mid-air like that? They're Queenslanders. They played for Queensland.
So?
What do you mean?
No. It's a coaching gig.
My word.
Oh, me.
Graham Murray coach.
Graham
Murray coach Queensland.
Yeah.
Graham Lowe, coach Queensland, didn't he? He's a Kiwi.
Oh, we'll get Benji Marshall to coach the Origin then.
Yeah, but it's not a New South Welshman coaching Queensland, is it?
Nah.
Why not go for someone who's actually been in those camps, knows exactly what Queensland does?
Joey, then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Joe, have the
Joey, and he ticks the Channel 9 box.
Don't bloody give in to Lee. He's throwing out the bait of Joey Johns. Don't agree with him. He's going to go on a rant again.
Hey,
that's what I
said. Origin is a Channel 9 baby. That's why you get these dressing room footage, the coaching box where they're talking. So they want coaches that are going to be good with the media.
Fatty.
Yeah.
For Queensland.
Gus.
How about we get Blocker to coach him?
Wally Lewis. We'll get Wally Lewis to coach New South Wales, eh?
Yeah.
Alfie Langer might be free.
Yeah.
Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith versus Billy Slater. Who doesn't want to see that?
Oh, that would be good.
Oh my god.
How about this? We get Wayne Bennett can coach New South Wales.
Yeah.
We'll get Wayne's cousin, Dwayne.
So
Dwayne
Bennett. You're getting hammered here. Darth Vader.
All right. Boys, Brendan, what did you have for dinner?
What did I have for dinner? I had crust pizza.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah, with the pulled pork one. Because I got
I bet you had a bit of pulled pork. Tim?
Nothing. Haven't had anything to eat yet.
Fair dinkum. Okay. Oh, yeah. As he has a schooner. Ginger beer, I presume?
No, cordial, actually.
Oh,
okay. Good job. I'm just glad he's come on here in sobriety.
We did have that issue a couple of weeks ago.
After the last one, yeah.
Lee, what did you have for dinner?
Guzman and Gomez, because I was on the road.
Oh, that's right. I was on the phone to you when you were eating.
That's right. Yeah. That was me dinner.
That sounded great.
And then when I got home after my session, I just had some crunchy nut coffee.
Can I have the beef mince? Mild, please. And 2 soft tacos as well.
Yeah. They were good.
What did Dalton Boy have for dinner?
Mate, I had mince,
pies,
rice, and vegetables. I'm on a health kick. I've lost 5 kegs.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
5 kegs. I'm got up this morning and worked out for an hour. I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning as well. Mate, I'm turning it all around. I'm coming back to. I'll be fighting weight again.
Are you off to North Ipswich Reserve this Sunday?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Adam Jackson's out of Origin camp, so he's taking over duties there. But I believe either the following weekend I'll be at Davies Park, or the weekend after that I'll be at Barlow Park, Cairns. So
Nice.
Wow.
Barlow.
Barlow Park. So I've got a bit of a schedule coming up with the QRL. So a little bit of work on.
Is that the TV game this weekend, Pride and Ipswich?
Yeah.
That'll be a shellacking, won't it?
Well, Pride are sitting at 9th. They're so it'll be an interesting sort of game. But yeah, look, could be a shellacking. Pride could turn it up. The Jets might get a win. Who knows? I know they won't.
Here's a quick question for you guys.
Mhm.
What do you think kids going to a number of different of the coaching clinics, the more they go to, the more benefit they'll get, or just sticking with one?
Depends how hard you smack them.
I think try them all. Yeah. But if mine are in town, come to mine.
I think it's good to listen to it different ways, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what could hurt New South Wales a little bit when it comes to Origin. If someone's been in a system since 15, they only know that one system, where if they're in different sort of setups and you learn different skills, you learn different looks. So you don't want to be pigeonholed.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, that seems like a pretty natural end to the podcast. I don't know how you feel, Lee.
I just feel shortchanged, you know. I did 45 minutes for yours. I get 35.
Okay. Well, I'm happy.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If you want to go, just go.
I don't want to go. I was happy to. I opened the floor into more questions, and no one sort of.
Nobody asked me. That's fine.
Hey, I haven't seen junior football for a while. What sort of where are you at? Where's our biggest weakness at the moment in junior? Technically, I'm not talking about the politics and all that sort of garbage. What technically do probably our junior coaches? Defense.
Yeah.
Is it
Defense.
Players are getting to NRL level and they don't know how to tackle properly.
so technique?
Yeah.
I'm
Also
concerned.
systems as well.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about tag. Like, I don't understand why kids learn to tag for the first year and a half of their footballing careers, and then they have to tackle.
It's a different sport. Tag's a different sport.
Like tagging,
think
you've got your hands out like this, and then defending, you're supposed to use your shoulder. It's completely different. You're supposed to go to the side for tagging. When you're tackling, you've got to get in front. It's completely different. And I'm about to see it. My son's played football for 2.5 years now, and he's about to move into tackle. And I just don't know how. Well, when he approaches tackling, he goes into the side like a tag, and I'm a little concerned as a parent to know
His
what's going
dad
to
used
happen.
to do that.
His dad didn't need to defend. He scored that many tries. But I'm a little concerned with how it's going to come out.
But hit him with his ass.
Yeah.
A lot of
Mate, Shakira, hips don't lie. As long as I scored points, no one cared.
a lot of the kids coming through, there's so much arm grabbing because they see it in the NRL when the guys go to tackle, they're wrapping the ball up.
Yeah, they go over the top. They go chest in.
Yeah.
I coach against it all the time.
And the amount of kids that I've seen hurt themselves because they've gone up high on these big guys and that sort of stuff, where if they would just drop down a little bit and tackle with their shoulder and hit them with their shoulder, that would make so much difference. On the weekend, I had a team just kept punching a hole through one area because two of my players, they just kept arm grabbing. So I quickly had a quick word to them and said, like, use your shoulders. And within 2 tackles, they didn't touch that side again.
Why did the Rooster keep going to the gym?
You wanted to be as good looking as me.
He was working on his pecs. Why did the can crusher quit his job? Because it was soda pressing. Why was Cinderella kicked off the footy team?
Didn't bring her shoes?
She ran away from the ball. An apartment building is on fire and a man screams out the window for help. Just jump out the window, another man yells. I'm a Dragons player, I can catch you. Wait, first man says. What team do you play for? He said St. George. Shouts the other man. Shrugs the first man. I'll take my chances with a fire. Bacon and eggs walk into a bar. The bar staff say, get out of here. We don't serve breakfast.
Oh, Lee, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Here's a quick one for you. What do you think is going to happen with St. George? With them losing their major sponsor.
They're going to have less money.
As a club, what do you think is going to happen? Because
they're saving money.
They'll just go from one disaster to the next, to the next, to the next. That's what
they're saving money on a coach at the moment. So
yeah.
So they've already made some cost saving initiatives.
They got 18 months to find a sponsor.
They should hire some firemen because they're always putting out fires.
Yeah,
I reckon Win will end up sponsoring them. To be honest,
I don't like that dolphin shirt you've got on, Taylor.
Why?
Because it's white. You should have got the red one.
No, I like the white.
I like the red one.
Thanks for your concern, but I like the white one.
anytime you want to throw some Dolphins gear down, I'm always willing, mate.
Anytime I want to throw it around. Are you on the bandwagon? Are you a Dolphin?
Well, that's where my old man started playing footy. He's from Redcliffe.
There you go.
You knew Tim was a weirdo, didn't you?
No, I sensed some.
I was talking to Rosie. He doesn't like Redcliffe.
Rosie hates Redcliffe because he's jealous.
Why am I jealous of?
Because you were out there in Ipswich, and everyone looks up to Redcliffe. Everyone loves the peninsula. Come on, we're like the Manly of Q Cup.
No, I think you like the Roosters.
Peninsula,
Ipswich and the West Magpies.
Peninsula and everything.
And what are Ipswich? The West Tigers?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say the Western Rams, but anyway.
Do you reckon Cross is in there slapping his player's face this Sunday?
Soon to be the North Sydney Bears of.
Yeah. I think that's a natural end, Taylor.
It sounds like a natural end, Lee. Are you happy to end now, or have you got your 10 minutes on the books? Or what are we been counting still in the corner, or what are we doing?
You've done well.
If you want, we can just do radio silence for 5 minutes if that's going to make it even.
Yeah. You need a better backdrop too.
I do. I need to get something. I told you a while ago, I want to get some jerseys framed and a few things like that and make a little room.
Do a portrait of yourself naked and put that behind. But cover up your treacle.
Oh,
Mate, he doesn't have to.
It's the beauty of my gut at the moment.
What, have you not seen it for a while?
It's a bit like the iceberg that's on the Titanic. It's 70% underwater.
This pod has condescended into chaos.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, everyone. Episode 48, the new episode 48. Let's hope this one makes it to air.
48B.
48B. Let's hope it makes it to air. All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.